Oh, I'm Erik. This is Marty. We're going to pretend like we know shit. All right, so this is our podcast or video thing that we're going to make. See a lot of videos on TikTok, YouTube, hear a lot of podcasts, a lot of people that talk about police work, but not a lot of cops that talk about police work. And I imagine that is probably because, officers are beholden to their agencies and they have to be very, very careful about what they say and how they say it. And we don't necessarily have to do that.
I think cops are one of the most misunderstood groups. So this may start to help people to say, why do cops do things that they in fact do? Well, I think that there'll be some commonalities in the thought process or lack thereof under pressure. But like anything else, each person has a different set of ingredients, so they are going to respond a little bit differently. And, the cliche kind of things are, our differences make us stronger. And in some aspects that may be good. But on the other side, people are expecting a certain uniformity from whoever shows up, that they're going to do certain things. That's what the rules are about. Then there's a layer of interpretation of the rules. Then there's a layer of, oh my God, I've never seen this circumstance before. What do I do?
Yeah.
Your personal fears, your personal biases, all those sorts of things, all are, part of the whole, what you're getting. We're expected to have wisdom beyond the people who have the problem that we're attempting.
Yeah,
to
is that
address.
fair? Is that fair?
Yeah.
I think there is a maybe not an expectation. Maybe that's not the right word, but that the cop's he's gonna know stuff. He just should know. He should just know that know everything. What would it be like to be one of the Uvalde cops right now?
Yeah.
Like, what? Obviously, appalling. This is an appalling example of what not to do, right? But imagine you are one of them now, today, or the weeks past, the weeks coming up, because everybody fucks up. Everybody makes terrible mistakes.
Sure.
And not to minimize it at all, but what would it be like to be like you got nobody on your side?
Right.
Literally nobody on your side.
As a matter of fact,
you had no way of knowing at that point in time. And I sound like I'm coming to the defense, but I'm really just trying to, try to get inside that person's head because they didn't know what had occurred yet. Yes. Obviously, it became very clear afterwards. It seems as though they probably should have known, but that doesn't matter. What would it be like to be them today?
Yeah, and if you put your personal conclusion aside, that many people, including many cops, have already come to about how that particular group of officers acted. If you put that aside, if you're one of them, I think probably what they're running into is that nobody wants to hear their story anymore because they've already come to their conclusion, which is always a difficult spot. Now, in fairness, you listen to their story and you may discount it, or you may question it, or you may just totally disagree with it, or possibly it changes a little bit of your perspective. I don't know, because I haven't talked to any of them. But that's another point that a lot of times it appears that the video tells the whole story and the video doesn't tell the whole story. We'll get into that at other times. But then the other thing that I wanted to just mention is that that's sort of our springboard point, but Erik and I are both detectives, or were detectives, and I'm still a private investigator. You can contact me at allstatassociates.com. But all right, that's another level of law enforcement. People used to say, oh, did you have donuts this morning? And I would say, no, I'm a detective. I have a full breakfast. But the other issue is that when you go to a scene as a detective versus as a patrol officer, you attempt to resolve the circumstance and then move on to the next thing. Document what you did. Now that's very simplified, but that's basically what you do. It gets handed off to a detective who now lives with it for 2 days, a week, a month, a year. Eric and I worked on a couple of cases or a particular case that was about 7 years. So you start to live, breathe it, and it becomes part of your life. And what toll, and toll is maybe not the right word, what effect does that have on your perspective of police work, your clients, which is the common thing to say, but the general public, and your personal life in general? What do the officers themselves, long after the fact of having investigated something, what are they feeling? What did they see? And what did incident A, how did that cause you to change when you went to incident B and incident C? And in fact, as we know, sometimes A, B, and C come the same shift.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of digestive time.
That's another thing that we can get into later. But I was thinking this the other day that when you watch, and we all watch these police videos, like the body cam, the car camera, you see all these different images of like some horrific incident that occurred with a cop on the street, chasing somebody, shooting at somebody's got a knife. The thing that struck me, because we just generally, I mean everybody, we watch those videos and just assume that cop has never met that guy before, or girl, that they have never crossed paths before. What do you think the likelihood of any one of these videos that we see, what do you think the likelihood is that cop never met that guy before? What do you think? What percentage?
Well, I believe it would tend to be greatly determined by the size of the city they were in.
I'm not even sure that's true.
But since there's a lot of repeat offenders, and offenders tend to act out in the same way each time, burglars generally do burglaries. Robbers generally do robberies.
Yeah,
upon responding, because we've all gone to complaints where it's like XYZ just occurred, and as you're rolling there, you're like, I bet it's so and so.
Yeah,
and it is.
Yeah,
not really a shock.
Well, and they're not all offenders. Some of these people in these videos are just clearly suffering from something, a mental break, and whether they're offenders, they're just people you know. I kept the book in my pocket when I was on patrol, because after a few months, I'm like, I'm writing this guy's name down, because I'm not going to ask him every time I see him what his date of birth is, what his address is. I know him. I'm just keeping it. This is before computers.
Right. Yeah.
I just write it like, I've met this guy 3 times now, or I met this girl, been at this family's house, So these incidents that we end up watching, and we just assume that this is just a random cop who's having a random interaction with a random person, and I would be very curious to know what the percentage of these incidents are where they know each other. Like and he's making decision, or she, the cop, is making decisions based on what they know of this person from before, If you run into the same guy 4 times, and 3 out of the 4 times he took off and ran from you, you're gonna have a different approach to that particular guy.
Oh, absolutely right. Yes.
And we know, you know those people.
And when we say know them, it doesn't mean that we know their entire history.
No.
And all that kind of thing. No. But that we've either dealt with them directly before, or we've heard other officers respond to complaints
have the
same person. Those kinds of things.
I think the average cop knows his customers better than a lot of business owners know their customers.
And that's another thing that cops get accused of profiling, and one of the points is that you walk through someone's front door and you're standing in their living room for sort of a vague call of a problem, you scan the room, and if you're going to survive those kind of things, you have to make a decision. Who's the biggest predator in the room? Who's the most out of control, just angry? You have to very quickly, and when I say quickly, we're talking seconds or sometimes portions of seconds, and you have to make a decision about your approach based on that. Are you going to take control and make people start sitting down? You're going to start ordering people around. Can you let a little more leeway go? Because when there's multiple people in there, and there's one of you, and in a case you may know one or two of them, but you don't know the other ones. And that's why, particularly with patrol officers, many times they'll be accused of coming across too formal, with too many orders. But they're truly concerned about the dynamics of several people.
There's a lot going on
Yes,
here. I mean, if you're the person in the room, let's say you're just one of the people in the room, and the cop shows up, and he seems very officious and seems distracted and uninterested in anything you're saying. The room's safe because you know these people. Let's say it's
yes.
You know who's who and what's what. He comes in and he doesn't know anything about anything, and although he's probably been there before, let's be honest.
Yeah. In a lot of cases, yes. But I mean, a lot of times you're dealing with a strata of people that has a newcomer sleeping on the couch for the past week and a half, and they might be from 2 states over, and again, you're trying to size that person up too. Now, maybe in 1 minute, 5 minutes, 8 minutes, another officer will be there. You'll be able to start to at least divide that group in half. Or by that time, maybe someone will have said, this is the problem, and they'll articulate it in a way that you can understand it, which does not always happen either. Or you get the person who wants to be way too friendly and wants to talk to you alone when you can't talk alone because you have to take your eyes off of everybody else. Yes, all those. Or you walk in and you may not recognize anybody in the group, but they know who you are.
Yeah.
Because they've been that person standing in the background on another thing before, and they have an opinion of you.
Because they saw your band play at the bar.
Well, that could be it too. Yeah.
All right. Well, a lot of things we can cover, I don't think that I haven't seen or heard. I would be very interested in seeing or hearing a podcast or discussion like this, similar to this, and haven't seen it. So
right, and the other thing that we're going to try to do is vary that with people from different locations. And I know to the general public that it's like, okay, cops are cops, detectives are detectives, chiefs are chiefs, but the issue is that we'll try to look at that from different locales, probably mainly the Midwest, a lot of Wisconsin, since that's our home spot.
We're definitely getting Ted Nugent.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I'm not sure if that's going to be episode 5 or 6, but we're going to have a few. But at any rate, we're going to try to get a cross section of this.
All right.